afternoon.
But
Good, how are you?
hey, I was swimming in the bag.
Hi.
How are you?
No, not bad.
Thank you again for the postcards. I think they helped. I got 44 people so far committed to coming. That's good.
I spoke to somebody today who said that they were thinking of coming,
I hope so.
who presumably are not signed up, so.
Okay.
My brother used to do those plunges.
Yeah.
One time.
I met your new assistant the other day.
Yes, or no,
I'm very.
I have some neighbors and I think hopefully a little low.
You found this out today.
Not yet, but I'm trying
She
to.
was asking us as well.
No,
I mean, I have found her places, but nothing she wants to.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Which I get,
Yes,
it's
yes,
people, it's $1,200 and everything. So I'm gonna do another bag.
And it's gonna be too
Before,
I'm like, that's
tomorrow,
not,
I'll do it tonight or tomorrow.
but you don't know they're from the middle of Pennsylvania. They have no idea.
He didn't sound as though, you know, he was about to jump on the boat.
Yeah,
When I talked to him
he's
anyway.
funny. He wanted to get his whole house to go here. Like his brother and his
Oh, I didn't know about
musician
that.
friend. But we'll
He
see.
was asking what the music scene was.
All
because
right.
it's based around in Pittsburgh.
I know.
Yeah, well, I'll shut this phone off and then I'll wonder for 2 days why my phone calls aren't coming.
Oh, yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
have it on
We'll see how it
silence and
goes.
like I forget to turn it back on.
I
So I
sent you
just
guys all.
give myself a
So that it's
reminder.
all,
I leave it like that on purpose.
Actually.
okay.
I have it vibrates.
Actually,
I just can't find any of the tones that are
Yeah.
not,
You know what, my
just-
Yeah, it's like-
tone is,
I didn't.
It's just
I
super-
didn't
So-
have with me, so.
people.
It's not a lot,
It's a phone ring. Usually I can shut it off.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do too, but it wasn't print.
I have Karen, I promoted her to a panelist. Carol is not on right now, so,
All right, and Denise is not coming.
okay.
I think Denise is not coming.
Karen, can
Denise is
you
not
hear
coming
us?
Wednesday.
Karen, can you
Hear
hear?
you. It's a little fuzzy.
Okay, good. So
It
you're,
goes in and out.
we had an audio problem last month, so I just
And-
wanted to make sure.
And also we could speak into our microphones probably better than we usually do. Is that pretty clear, Karen? Thank you for the comment about my butt.
My pleasure.
I was leaning over the desk, I got this text that says, I can see your butt.
You notice.
I forgot. I can't. Everybody's-
When the time comes.
No, there's something I have to tell you, but because we're live, I can't. Remind me after the meeting. No, doesn't that feel bad? Oh, no, it's good by you.
Very good.
I don't. I guess move forward, I guess, if we have to. We have quorum.
6:33.
Oh, here she comes. This.
Yeah.
Probably the boat. All right.
Here, I'll move one down on here.
Hi. Do you want to come over here?
No, we're good. Let's just.
You're good. Go ahead.
Welcome, full crew.
We're late.
I think it's the world you have to apologize to. Thousands of people, all the big group. They watched your entrance and so, I guess, We have a full quorum. We have everybody here. This is wonderful. So don't forget tonight, let's try to speak into the microphones better so everybody can hear. Because we have these masks and they're not fun. But I'm gonna call us to order at 6:34. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome Karen from New York and Jackie. And I can't see the first one. But this is a meeting that we're going to try to accomplish several things. We've got to have get some reports on what's been going on and cleaning up the summer project. We have a real big event on Wednesday, and I think that's pretty exciting. Are we done? And then, so we have Wednesday event, we have the programming for 2021 that we're going to talk about. We have, I met with Karen in New York, so we've got a lot of updates on that. And then we have some new business, and I think it's going to be a full meeting. So first of all, call to order announcements. Tony, you got a report from Martin Bloom?
The only real thing that I have to report is it looks as though the train station that will cover all the generators and so on in front of the library may well start before the end of the year.
Oh, that's great. That's cool. Janet, you're going to report on the technical difficulties, but do you have anything to say about that? Do you have anything to say about for yourself?
No.
Okay. You don't know what happened, and we don't know why.
No, I think sometimes, and this is what we did, Denise had to get out of the meeting and then come back in, and I think that worked, and then Heidi came here, but we've been having some difficulties with live streaming, some difficulties.
But we don't know what they are.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, let's move on to the approval of the minutes. I wasn't here, so I can't have an opinion. Did everybody read the minutes? Does that seem about like what happened?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of last month?
Motion to approve. Moved.
All right, it's done. All in favor, aye. All right, okay. Okay. Canal Front Park project, the last report. After reading the minutes, I feel like you guys covered that pretty much last month. I do, and then Heidi filled me in about the workers and the conditions and how that didn't go as well as we'd hoped. So just to let you know that we're working on the problem that we had when some of the decommissioners arrived thoroughly unprepared and had issues that were quite preventable. We're going to try to get together our own crew. We got a phone call in with Handy Andy. I don't think the city wants to use its own employees because they have overtime issues and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try to find somebody that can provide us with 3 people that we could work with more than once. Because I think if they could do this 2 or 3 times, it's like they'll need less and less supervision. But we're going to try and get a crew together that can be, and then we can call it time again, because the agenda for next year we're going to try and to provide a lot of assistance for all the things that we're considering. So that will solve that big problem. And the only other thing I would report on that Canal Front project was that the effect of the groundwater on the sculpture was to pretty much rot out the ropes completely. And she wasn't expecting that. So that's something we have to make sure we talk about if we ever put anything else down there.
It was just the weather, or was it like the water came up?
Just the bottom ones, they would actually come off the rope because it was eaten through it, those bottom ones, not everything off the ground, but just the bottom. And a few of the other ones were.
So I mean, they were sitting in the wet ground, and it wasn't nylon rope.
If I remember rightly, where the rocks were, was in a kind of bowl. So if there was water coming down, rain in other words, it would collect in that bowl.
Yeah, that is.
The tide's really high. It'll fill up in there.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's just something we need to remember if we put anything else down there, because.
I don't think it should have been nylon rope. I mean, that would have been a different visual.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's why the rope fell apart.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, the next, anyway, thank you very much, Heidi, for taking that under your wing and taking responsibility for it and getting it done.
Got it done.
I appreciate that very much, and in trying to spread the pain. The next item is the Kate Dodd deinstall. And we're not asking you to do a darn thing. Tony and I are going to do that one, and we're going to deinstall a project in the morning. So by the time she comes down, it's all on the ground. And we have 2 helpers coming. And
What do you do with all that stuff then? Back there.
yeah, she's coming with a truck to pick it up.
How are you doing that? But
10 o'clock.
Then on Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it's just going to sit on the ground one day. And
this is the 4th though, the install, so it is Wednesday the 3rd.
what did I say?
On the agenda, it says
The 4th.
the install.
All right. Might change-
The 3rd?
When is she coming? When's she speaking? The 3rd.
Third.
Yeah, you can change that 3rd to the 4th to the 3rd. Okay. Now, another glorious moment is to thank Nancy for all her work on this project, which has been taking place in my absence. I'm very happy about that. You want to give us an update on the community meeting on Wednesday?
Sure. First of all, thanks to everyone who helped Heidi put the postcards together. Carol handed out cards. Everybody's been fabulous. Okay, so November 3rd is the public meeting, 7 o'clock in the Verdon Center. I talked to their people for the setup. There will be a table in front, something similar to this, for the speakers with a mic. There will be AV setup. I think I'll find a time that we should get there on Wednesday to make sure all of that's working. If there's a chance, I can pop over there earlier tomorrow and make sure that we have everything we need for projection and projecting images. I'll get back to you tomorrow with the time for that. Kate had given me specs for what she needed. She has a Mac, so they did confirm they would be able to hook up her Mac to project those images. We will also have a mic between the chairs for speakers from the audience. Okay. I'll put together just some signs, directional signs for people when they get there, which room that they need to come to. And I'll get there early to put those up.
That's good, because sometimes it's confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been there.
I never have either.
Well, I mean, I'm saying,
Yeah.
if you've never been there, it's.
Yeah.
People,
Okay, so I'll do that. So for the program itself, Cliff will speak first and just talk about the mission and what we did this year. Kate will speak next, have some images to project. Rodney will be the final speaker.
Rodney will probably be second.
Oh, it'll be second.
Because
Okay.
Rodney's going to be short and Kate's going to be long.
Okay. So switch that.
And then Q&A.
Yeah, and Q&A. At the moment, our Facebook count of people who are planning to actually come is 44. You know, that may change with, you know, people get excited, yeah, I'm going to come to that. And then the night of, if the weather's not cooperative, that may change. But that's a good number to start with. And hopefully we'll have about that or more would be fabulous. We decided not to have refreshments, it was just logistically too much of a problem because of the masking. I am reiterating that University of Delaware does require proof of vaccination or testing, and everybody is required to wear masks for the entire program. So there's that.
Question.
Yes,
Who's going to monitor that?
that's a good question. I'll call tomorrow and make sure that.
Do they monitor or they're asking us to monitor?
The woman I spoke with last week, my impression, or her impression was that they monitor it, but I think
Okay.
I'm not fully confident that that's actually going to happen, so we shall see.
One more thing is, we should probably all think of questions just in case people don't have questions.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Well,
That's a good idea.
there'll also be, I mean, I think the format will be, Ronnie's going to talk about his aspects, and then Kate will talk about the art thing. If that goes short, and her time was up and down, I have a list of questions to ask them,
Mhm.
you know, sort of as a dialogue.
Great.
And then if that sort of wraps up, and the questions from the audience, you know, it's hard to keep them on focus on to what our goal is here. So I think that would be, should we, I mean, is there any way we want to control that?
No, I mean, I think.
Have people write a question?
I think.
I don't think you should control it.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Let 'em-
That's what this is all about, to find out what they think.
I mean, if somebody goes off tangent or out of hand, I think as the chair of the meeting, you need to direct and say, well, we can talk about that later, you know, can we have a question?
We just don't want people, we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to ask their question and make it a question rather than a speech-making opportunity. You know, public meetings can be,
There'll only be so much time at the end anyway,
right.
and then at some point we just.
Okay. So we'll make that a Q&A time at the end. I think that's important under.
I have a question for Nancy, because I volunteered to be part of the setup crew.
Mhm.
What time do you want me there?
They said we do not.
We
need
don't
to-
need a setup
We
crew?
do not need a setup crew.
Okay,
Our money paid for them
Okay.
to set up. That's what I was told. So they're doing all the chairs and social distancing similar to this. So
Okay.
the room itself fits 75 to 85 people. I told her, you know, between 50 and 75, and hopefully that's true. So that's all good. That's about it. We did a lot of PR. The one thing I didn't see was I had done the Cape Gazette community calendar online, and I did not see that in Friday's issue. Maybe it will be in tomorrow. It's kind of late, but I did see the ads that you put in.
The ads were great.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought they were very catchy.
And the public media, that dialogue you have was great.
That was wonderful.
She was a good editor, because I never speak so clearly in my life. Really, she made me sound so succinct. I sent it to everybody I know.
I have a question. I don't know if you saw the piece in Lewis Neighbors. It was a picture of you with, anyway, does anybody save those as archival copies?
I have.
That was great, because a lot of people look at that.
Yeah, I think so too.
That went out.
So little.
That one, you know where that came from, Denise? Your mailing list.
I know.
Thank you very much.
Well,
That was,
so I've been saving it and.
you
okay.
should, yeah, you could say that. I don't have a hard copy because I don't get the magazine, but
You don't see it in the mail?
I get it because I get Google.
I meant to bring it tonight and I forgot, but it is a funny little thing that people do look at it.
It
What they
is.
do. Yeah, and there will be an article, Nick's gonna do an article for us, it'll appear in, is that tomorrow morning? So that should be cool. All right,
Is there going to be a video or a Zoom of this available?
last time we hired somebody to do the video and then we didn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
And we spent a few $100 and
Okay.
so I don't have
Okay.
it. Do you think we should?
I hadn't thought about it.
People are interested, they'll come.
I wonder what the value is looking at it afterwards.
Yeah.
Is there any information that you want to keep or capture or what?
Then we could just do a Zoom and record it.
What?
We could just do a Zoom to ourselves kind of and record it.
Let's do that.
You have to set up the camera, right?
So, and
So, I mean, we would just have to do it on the
Just put a
computer.
camera on a, I'll bring a computer and I'm not sure how to do that, so I'll bring.
I have Zoom on mine, so.
But so that means we have to be able to get into their
Oh,
internet
oh,
to do
Can we
that.
do that?
So we have
I'll
to-
find out.
Or maybe they have a computer we can
okay.
use.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. That'll give us recording of it. And I think one of the things that may happen is that we might want to go back and refer to something that happened in that meeting. So it's good. I think it's good to have.
Okay, I'll find out tomorrow if they've got that equipment.
I'm hoping we can get there, not come in an hour early and we'll go over the stuff because sometimes that's not enough time to go get the cable that you need and everything else. So we could go the day before or in the afternoon. But,
Okay, I'll get back to you first thing tomorrow morning after
uh,
I talk to her.
so, all right, well, I think this is going to be a really interesting time. I hope we get a lot of good questions and
I get lots of great questions from people that I'm just talking to, and so I'm encouraging them all to come and say, this is the forum for these questions.
right.
and for these comments.
Handing out the cards at the market. People will
Oh, yes.
respond
I
to,
did that.
oh,
Saturday, yeah.
cool, this is really great.
Yeah. I did the
I only
same
had-
thing. Mhm.
What I have, like 40 cards, and only maybe 2 people blew it off, but everybody was really enthusiastic. about it.
And the card is so open-ended, like they get to really say what they want because the card says what, one of the things that they think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
I have people saying, can you put a mural on the wall that's across from my house? I was like, oh, it's not a city building, and no.
So there's no setup committee and we just have to show up and it's at 7 PM. So we should all be there by no later than 6:30. I'm not trying to be there by 6
I'm gonna be there by 6 at the latest.
at the latest. I can come in early. I will have Kate with me, so I don't know how I'm gonna get her fed.
Sandwich.
For the pop-up project for downtown. Verified the one project that's gonna go in Hemlopen Station. I stopped by to talk to Jen twice about her place, but I haven't made contact. So we were looking for a pop-up project for that window to run January, February, March. And I sent one thing out with an artist. I'm not sure how that's going to go. I really don't want to get into that right now because we have something, but please, if you've got some artists that's not, it's nothing for sale. We're not selling anything, but if you have somebody in mind that might be appropriate for a window, pop-up window, let's bring that to the next meeting.
Are we talking about just sculpture or paintings also
Right.
being considered?
It's sculpture.
Just sculpture, okay.
Well, it could be an installation.
Mhm.
It's hard to hang paintings right in a glass window. I mean, you
Put it on
could.
an easel.
You could.
We talked about Tom Wilson and that would
We
be.
did talk about Tom Wilson, but let's talk about that at our next meeting, which will be a lot closer to it. And also this is we're not going out and coordinating with
Other than Hamilton Station, what are the other venues for Second Street? So it's.
Another window, Hamilton Station is one, and the other one is, Biblion.
And possibly the bank.
Probably not.
They've got these, the bank's moving out on the 18th. But apparently the city worked with citizens regarding the Santa House. So Ted's suggestion was you could potentially still work with citizens to get something installed, but who knows whether you're gonna put paper over the windows, who knows,
Yeah, I window, I certainly would
I spoke
try
with,
to use that.
I spoke with Ted. He is gonna be in touch with them about this. He's thinking that at this point, they may want to be promoting their other locations in that window. That makes a lot of sense. So,
We don't need the whole window for that.
I had emailed you at some point about the library's big case, but the Cape artists have had a display in there. Well, it just ended, but there are pictures there and they're hanging on the walls too, but the case is highly visible to everyone who walks in the library. I don't know I haven't tried to talk to anybody, but it seems like if we had some little or smaller sculpture things, that would be a great place. I mean, everybody who goes to the library would see it.
right, so library space. That could be a place, if they want to give it to us, to promote the other things that we're doing in town. Just, we'll see. All right, so let's go on to the meat of the matter. Karen, are you still with us?
She's not on that.
All right, so,
Karen, you're on mute. Sorry, yeah, I'm here.
all right, good. We have shared a bunch of photographs, and we have discussed these projects at 3 different meetings. I think that at this point, we're trying to move forward. So what I have done in order to facilitate is I'd like to make recommendation and then have us, because there's a lot of moving pieces here. And the recommendation is based on the stuff that we've already talked about. I think that that I've got a budget here I put together. The pieces we have talked about were the Vivian Collins pieces, the tree. Everybody remember that one? And you saw, I have the pictures here too. So do we need to look at those pictures?
I can do a screen share.
If somebody's on Zoom, they should at least see what we're talking about.
You see this picture? This is, everybody remember seeing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I can't see because you got us.
I'm trying to,
They're all on the agenda, so you just click on the agenda.
I know, I'm trying to get.
All right, well, if you can, yeah. So this is the, oh, you can't see it. So the tree piece is the Vivian's piece, and the next next pieces that we talked about. In doing Vivian's piece, Karen, spoke with her, or Karen spoke with her. We were deciding to group 3 of these trees if we get this piece. I'm not sure what's that one, but we're going to group 3 of them together.
Different colors?
No, they're all going to be magenta because that's what she's got.
It's not my favorite color.
Can I say something?
That's a good.
However, can you hear me? The top parts of the trees, like the loops, she intersperses color in there. So we haven't really gotten into the details with her because we haven't said like, yes, go ahead, but she can bring color into the treetops. Different additional color.
These metal?
These are metal. Yes, and they sit on a stand, a base, a round base. I think it goes into the ground. In your folder I sent today, I think it had install instructions for them.
Yeah, 7 by 5,
So if
6.
you have that information, look at it if you want to. And what I'm gonna, I'm kind of gonna propose that we get permission to move forward to see if all this can happen. This isn't, I'm not asking for permission to order all this stuff or put it all in place, because that's the final step, and we're not at the final step. But we can, with this particular piece, I think it satisfies the need to have something maybe a little less esoteric in the park, something that's more representational, something that is more easily accessible mentally, and also something that which will have about, a similar volume for that space. So we're thinking about this in the same space as the Unbounded 2. So that's element number 1.
Is that decided, the location?
This is what I'm proposing, okay?
Okay.
Well, I do think that space is the space that the park commissioner said they really can't use it for anything else because they have trouble growing grass and stuff there anyway. So it's actually a perfect space for public art and temporary public art. So
if we go, so what are we doing is like proposing that I actually try to see if we can get the contract. I mean, we haven't talked to her about a contract or anything, right?
we haven't talked to.
Nothing. I'm waiting.
Right. So if we look like we really would like to go forward, we will pursue that. The numbers for her, by the way, here you can share these. It's not a secret. Wait, I need one more instruction.
This one.
No, you have to share. All right. This is Vivian. So basically, the problem is we're talking about 2 installers to put up and put it down, and a proposal of covering the transportation of the thing here, and then an artist fee of $1,500. So that would cost the committee in total $4,000. And we haven't negotiated a contract, so none of these numbers are fixed. It's just a projection. Yes. And that would be for that in that particular area.
Question, I'm sorry, but just so I understand, so your suggestion is putting 3 together,
right,
in one place?
Yeah.
So that would require a larger base than if you.
No, 3 small bases.
How many?
3. Each one has
Separate bases.
Bases.
Each one has its own. Yeah. The next project.
Cliff, I just have a question. Do you know how tall these are? Is that
I think that's in the description, but I can't. Karen, do you remember how tall these things are? There's pictures of people standing next to them in there.
Different bases, and I'm not sure, these are 3 representative of the few that she has that are all magenta. Different bases range from 10 feet to 12 feet. That's the base. Then the loops, which are a thinner material, are up higher than the base.
Right.
So 10 to 12 feet square, Para?
No, tall.
Tall.
She's talking about the base.
It says they come in 2 pieces, I think.
Oh, you mean the bottom? I'm sorry.
No,
That varies. She said she can make them bigger if need be. We haven't gone specific with her yet, so
Yeah.
until we do and tell her what the location is and how we're thinking of installing it,
Right.
it's a little premature.
Okay, so at this point, that would be item number 1. Item number 2 to discuss is the Letha Wilson stuff. This piece, has been viewed in person by members of our committee. How tall is it?
8
It's about
feet,
6,
8 feet,
6 to 8 feet. I would say.
Okay.
8 feet.
You have that nice little.
I have a picture of a duck sitting right in front of it. They came up from the river, the Hudson.
Are you thinking the same spot?
This piece is, and you saw the video, which he said that the video is really more shows what it's like, and it's a good example of why a 2D picture never works on a piece of sculpture. And a 3D is a lot better. This piece, I talked to Letha. She is in France right now. She would be very happy to do this. The last installation was a highly professional. It was her gallery that did it in New York, and so everything was New York wages, and it's really scared me. But I am so our proposal that I wrote up, again, nothing's finalized, is that this piece would need a concrete pad of some kind. The pad is not small. And the pieces are kind of heavy and have to be held together while they're attached to each other. So we probably need 3 people. Maybe 3 hours, 2 people for 3 hours, plus, one of us. And, a very modest artist fee of $2,000, I think, puts us at $6,000 to get this piece. Now, I am hoping, because I had spoken to these guys before, that we might be able to get assistance on this from the patrons and of the George H.P. Smith Park. Maybe they will cover the concrete. Maybe they have a different. So the location would, of course, like the last time, we send the location back up to them. I'm hoping that the concrete pad may have some use, or it may not, and we can probably, I think we could still do it ourselves if we had to pay for it, but they might have a use for that, and they also might be able to get it put in and taken out, which would be make this even a less expensive install. I would suppose it's a little small to go way back where Kate's piece is, but
I wouldn't say so.
I think it's too, yeah.
well, we can talk. It's pretty cool, pretty good piece, and I think it'd be really wonderful to have
It
her.
definitely has a presence when you see it.
Yeah.
We had also decided we didn't want to put things exactly where we put Kate's piece. Again,
What's that?
I thought we had decided that we had stuck Kate's piece a little far back. Would want to move it out a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, there were 2 schools of thought. I mean, we had a lot of people who loved it back there because it was way out of the way and they could experience it personally. And other people said, I want to be able to see it without leaving from the farmer's market, which is, and maybe it goes in the corner between the farmer's market and town. I mean, we have to see what they think. But I definitely, what you're talking about is really important, having it have its own spot that calls for it.
Well, I mean, the signs were really helpful.
But yeah, those signs, you did another double bravo. Bravo.
But I mean, it sort of encouraged people to take a walk, which
Right. So follow the signs.
because then you're discovering it, not like it's just there. It's like on the corner. So I mean, there's two ways to look at how you experience that art. Is it just there, or is it something that you have to?
You should also look to the future as well, particularly if you're having to lay a concrete pad, then wherever it goes, that's where
Another piece.
another piece of art can go.
Could go, yeah. Yeah.
Good idea.
True. So that's true. So maybe you can explain, we can explain to the park commissioners, this could be a more ongoing spot for you, right? Okay, that's a good point, Tony. Thank you. The third piece that we're talking about, which is coming up, are these amazing pieces called absentee,
I love these.
absent monument,
Absent monuments.
absent monument.
That's not it on the screen.
That, yeah, no, that's not an absent monument piece. You gotta go under rows, it's under rows, this CRL.
Well, that's what.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
yeah.
5 of them.
All right, anyway, so absent monuments are, we're gonna discuss those. She's got the wrong pictures labeled absent monuments, I think.
There they are.
Look on the bottom.
That's what you sent us today.
All right,
Yeah, this is-
all right, well, anyway, so the ones, we'll keep going down,
And then there's the spheres.
keep going one more. Okay, so the ones that we're talking about, the email that went out today with Rose Scenario has, I don't know how I can get these to you, but they were the pieces that were in the mirror kind of pieces.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry that we don't have those pictures, but
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing
so here, and there's 2 variations on them.
They're really fun.
it.
And
Very cool.
and they're, and find the standard ones here.
Oh, they're in the drive.
All right, well, here's the detail from one. These are the, yeah, okay, you've got them, you guys
I
have them.
think Heidi has them too.
So the idea of these is that the artist uses archived photographs and creates something specific for your place. Now,
This
there's,
part, right? Mhm. The titles.
right, yeah, so you can see the tall images. Hey, you guys, have you seen these?
No.
Well, okay. Well, we covered them. This isn't the first time we brought them up at the meeting.
I thought we looked at them when you were away.
Yeah,
We did.
We did.
see them with the tall,
Yeah, we
the tall silver
we
thing?
had our last
We've
meeting.
got like a
Yeah.
mirrored obelisk
That was
with
away.
Okay. The Dutch tiles on the base are just, I just think that's genius.
Yes.
So,
I really love it.
So I talked to the artist today. And this is an interesting project. It's very much about marking, it's a placemaking object. I think it's really pretty. I don't know how often you have to clean these. Have you ever seen one in person, Karen?
I haven't, but I asked her about the maintenance and the cleaning, and she said it's not something that needs constant cleaning.
Okay.
So I don't know what, we can push more on it later, but she said no.
What the artist has available is 2 of these monuments. And these monuments are 126 inches tall.
Nice.
That's 10 feet plus. And they are like, they sit in these buckets, which are like planters with big screws that go down into the ground and that anchor the planter. So the base of the planter is what's going to get the tile piece. The tile piece is it's a decal, I think.
No, she prints on ceramic.
Okay, well, she does a print on the ceramic for this, and then she can print whatever we give her. I have been in touch, I've been in touch with the Lewis Historical Society, and they have an archivist, and they've offered the archivist time.
Picture the net reel.
There was a discussion. Now here's where it gets really interesting. We would choose, we should choose, or we can even ask at the meeting on Wednesday. The theme that we want to, I think we have a couple of things crossed my mind as I was thinking, what would we'd like to show a monument to that's absent and that used to be around here, and it's is important to us. And there were, historical events, of course, there are political movements, and there is something that I kind of think is really interesting enough to get some reaction and press with, and that is the monument to open space.
I was thinking that same thing.
Because if we could get photographs of Lewis, like Lewis Beach, when Bay Avenue was really had a Bay Avenue when covered with sand, or 2nd Street with farms and open space on it. It's an issue that the Greater Lewis Foundation is trying to raise money to buy land, to preserve open space. It's the same dialogue that everybody has in most of the public hearings about land use now and the overbuilding. And I think it might be kind of sweet. And it would be a little bit different enough to have people pause and think, well, what is this a monument to? Which I think adds a level rather than something really obvious. Here's a picture of World War II.
We'll take them the second layer to get to it, I think. Oh.
Yeah. And I just don't.
It'll get people to think.
Yeah. And I think that would be, and that's what we want to try and do. And it's a little too easy to pick the low fruit and let's just make a picture of Old Lewis or the Old Lewis Fort. And I think it'd be fun and it'd be a little more challenging.
With different faces, it's 4 sides, right?
Right.
We have a different photograph on. You it around. You do a panoramic.
I think I looked at some of these pictures and they had. So this is like one side is one picture, 4 sides is 4 pictures, and then another one they actually did it like postcards. So here's one with
like a montage.
She made a montage, and that's basically a big picture on the bottom and 2 small pictures on the top. So it's going to be dependent on what kind of materials we can find for her.
But it'd be also nice to do something that's addresses African American history too.
Well, it's a different subject.
Well, it could be part of it.
Well,
I just see that.
Yeah, that was that's the low hanging fruit.
How many of these are we?
We're gonna get, I have something else in mind. But as far as these monument pieces, we have to 2, and we should probably stick with, one theme. I mean, and I'm not saying you couldn't do that one, but I don't think you can do a whole bunch of them. And then she also has another object. And the other object is this kind of ball thing. Did you see did you look at those last time also?
Did you?
No, but I don't think we did. In the evening.
No, just
That was not part of the ones that we.
Okay, well, here's this was a round one. And so the round one has little slits.
Did you send that to us?
Yeah. And so that one is, when it's all together on the side, it's not always spread out in that dimensions. It can be almost like, you know, 3 crescent little moons. And in talking to her today, she said, look, you know, for me to come down there, if I rent the truck, I don't have to rent the truck twice for 2 different things. If I do the second one for you, it can be second one could be will lower the prices of printing for the first one. So I did a markup on your budget. On the very bottom of the page, you'll see if we did obelisks only, it's about $5,390 for her. And my guess was about $6,200 if we do a third unit, which is the different spherical one. I think that if we're going to have a so that could be a really nice thing. I'm wondering if the place to put this, we have to think of where we're going to put this stuff now, would be in the behind the Swandale Museum. People see it when they walk by. That's a very pedestrian park. The reflected towers. It's good if they're kind of close to each other, because you want to be able to maybe see one when you're reflecting out of the other one. This third object could go farther away. It could be in a different part of the park, or it could be in a different park altogether. But I'd like to, you know, if we pursue that too, then that would be the area where I would try to take us, and that's a total budget for next year of $16,000.
The issue about the Swannondale Park is that there are other things go on in the park, like, you know, the garden tour has stuff in the park and so on. And there may not be space for both.
There may not be, and I mean, and obviously, we don't do anything until we contact the parks commissioner and see what they think.
It does seem cramped in there.
But those guys are only taking up, those 2 towers are taking up, what, 4 square feet apiece? So it depends on where you put them.
How do you hang that or post that or?
Sphere, how's that anchored to the ground?
Well, there's a right. It's anchored like this. You got this in the email today. It's anchored with these sleeves and plates.
Oh,
And I think that again, it's adhesive weatherproof vinyl, and they just take our images and stick it on these 4 panels, and then that pivot, that plate in the ground. If you didn't get the install, you know, I have it. But anyway, that answers your question. So, Karen, you want to comment on this?
Did someone speak with me?
Yeah, I'm asking you if you want to comment on this.
On this particular work, or the 3 as sort of a trio of artworks, or this spinning piece?
This one first, and then the 3 is a trio.
Okay. I think something that's really spectacular about both of her pieces is that people will be able to relate, because they're going to relate to the history of Lewis, Delaware. I think that is going to really bring in a new element for people to really enjoy, that they're seeing their own history through a contemporary work. I love if you have the budget, I love the idea if you could do 2, both the monuments and the spinning work, because with this you get, you know, a chance to choose 2 different histories, the way Cliff said, the monument to, you know, missing open spaces, and with the spherical one, something else. For not really that much more money in the budget, because she has the truck issue. I don't know what your space is like there anymore, like all the different locations to put everything, but hearkening back to the idea of all three, I think what you ended up creating when Kate Dodd came along as a second piece is that, and then you had the mural, is that you really establishing something to look forward to every spring, summer, and a loop as you created sort of unintentionally in a way when Kate's piece, was added in there. And you have the combination here for me of the traditional work, the more traditional powder coated aluminum with Vivian Collins. Those are the pink trees. And then you have Letha's work, which is printing on Corten steel. So it's combining like a traditional material like steel with printing of a photograph on top of it. It really blows people's mind because the leaves are printed so vividly on that steel. You can't believe, that is the technique. And then finally, with roses, you have the idea of a traditional monument, the way it looks, but it's sort of, because it's mirrored, you bring your own history into that piece. It's like it superimposes the viewer onto the monument, kind of putting them in the history. And so that's my 2 cents for what you're sort of thinking of as a whole exhibition.
Thank you.
Well, if we did the open spaces, it would we've got a tree, we've got the leaf printing, we've got nature material, and the materials, so all three of them it would become a connected loop.
Cool. Good.
The other thing I love about the absent monuments is Lewis was a Dutch settlement, so you've got that look there. That's kind of sounds, it just has a nice fit.
Okay. Anybody else want to talk one more time about these three pieces? Because I want to talk about the whole project now. All right, so the budget that's $16,180. The in-kind, if we take these artists and we put them up and we feed them like we've done before, which has been kind of fun, then we're going to show $1,800 of in-kind donations that our committee takes care of. The artists themselves are only going to get $5,500 out of this. It's $6,850, but it's for materials. Part of that is going to go to materials, and I think the biggest nut we have is transportation, getting stuff here, and that's maybe we should buy our own truck next year. And the install and breakdown, and that's really going to be, to me, that's the stumbling block. Can we find three people that are reliable, and we can pay them $45 an hour? We can't pay them as employees because we can't hire city employees, and we don't want to. I don't think the city has extra labor to give away. So it's like subletting this job, and that's something we really have to work on to make.
I have an idea. I'll get back to you.
Okay. So I'd like to develop a crew, and I think that for $45 an hour, we ought to be able to get somebody pretty good. I think that, but they have to be insured. They have to be, we just can't just pick people up off the street. If somebody gets hurt, we're in trouble.
Can I say something? Like for Letha's piece, those pieces are heavy, each three. And the guys doing it were wearing boots because they had to put it, as you mentioned, put it together at the same time that they were holding it. Right. So it took some skill. Whereas with Rose's work, she needs able bodies, but it's not the same level of skill.
I think there's a question, to me, it's more like you got to lift a 250-pound piece of metal out of a truck. It's also a matter of strong backs, and we can develop a team, especially if we can get these people to come back 2 or 3 times over a few years. It becomes proficient in our handling, which would be important.
Yeah, I have an idea of a crew who might be able to do it.
Okay.
I think it's going to take more hours, but I think they should put a proposal together for us.
the hours I have here are all proposed by the artists. That's what the hours tell, based on what they had done. So all these hours come from the artists themselves.
Pouring a pad?
No, not for the pad.
Oh, okay. I was like, that is.
Yeah.
So that's something the streets department could do. We only mentioned that before, that they have that capability.
I'd have to follow up on that, because what happens then is that it takes them away from the other jobs that they have to do, you know, for the city and service to constituents and whatnot. So, I mean, I can certainly ask the question.
And I think that's maybe, we probably have a few options to look at down the road, but for the next step, if we are going to do these 3 installs, there's no reason why, they could be happening right on top of each other. So my thinking is that if this goes down, we have, Barry, you're gonna be the head man on one of the install. I can't ask Andrew because you're, Tony and me, and I think we're gonna have to spread the work a little bit, so that we can focus on getting each install done the way it should be done. And I'm thinking it's, that's going to be one thing is people stepping up, and I don't have any problem I expect that we have plenty of manpower here to do that. The other thing is, we'll probably have to raise some money. But as I'm looking at this and what our budget is, part of this will come out of last year's, out of the 2021 budget, which starts in April. So if we can get some of this stuff gone in June, and then I'm sure we'll be okay budget-wise, and because there's not that much money going to the artists themselves, which is what we tend to cover. So
Any lighting for these?
I don't have anything on lighting planned, no.
I don't remember how much, what was needed to anchor the tree, the very first thing, the magenta tree?
What anchors it?
I mean, can we do that ourselves?
Well, she brings the stuff to anchor it and the base, and we have to get it off the truck and onto the ground, anchor it, attach it. So
Is it heavy?
yes.
Okay.
Wait, you mean which piece are you talking about? The magenta pieces? The artist is sort of facile. She brings, she is able to install them. The pad that sits on the ground that the magenta tree base goes into is very heavy.
That's the
And that weights it down.
Right.
Okay.
So again, that's not so much being really talented with your hands, but being talented with your muscles.
Work with.
Well, that's more trouble than it's worth.
Just a question for clarification for me. We're talking about the possibility of doing all 3 pieces next year, right? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, sometime next year.
Okay.
March.
Okay.
March is next year too.
Or at the same time, at 3 different locations.
I mean, we did 2 this year by sort of default.
So
Dodd ended up in our lap, basically.
But we did it.
Yeah.
And we did it really fast.
So this is going to come out of fiscal year budget 22.
Some 21, some 22.
Well, we're in 22 now.
And some 22, some 23.
Okay, that's what I just.
Yeah, it'll overlap if we need to.
Right, because I
we
thought I
don't need
heard you
to-
say 21, and that's,
Well, I'm just trying to say, I'm sure that I don't think,
yeah, no, we can.
I don't think this amount of money is going to be a problem.
No, we can straddle 2 different budget cycles. That's not a
And
problem.
I think there's one more thing.
We're talking budget year.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Cliff, I've got to go.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You're great.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye, thank you.
All right. If you need me,
I'm not going to find you.
Okay,
we're talking about a location for the obelisk. Would it be conceivable to work with the Historical Society and do it on their complex?
I would report that the first thing I did was talk to them about it, and they had their first response was they had issues that would have to be resolved, and then
Something we could pursue though.
Well, then especially given the dicey nature of the project, current situation with the city, there was a question, would that seem to be inappropriate? And I didn't want to answer that question.
Or do we need to get,
You don't have to go there.
we don't have to, we also don't have to get permission to put our sculptures in parks, right?
Well, I would say that,
I mean, they.
I would say at this, as far as them, it's a possibility, yes. And at this point, where I'm trying to take us is I want to know if it's okay to pursue this program. And if you give me the yes on that, we will start narrowing down these figures a little more specifically and probably start going around and IDing some spots. So at the next meeting, it's going to be, okay, this is good. These guys came in, we can get a contract signed, and it's going to go here, here, and here in this park. So there'll be work done in between. We can't do all our work sitting on this table.
But you'll try to get on the Parks and Recs meeting.
I'm gonna try. No, I'm gonna try to. Well, I could be, but I don't. I basically want to just go ahead and meet with the head of with Ed Tesson and Harry, and then and meet with whoever the new Parks Commissioner is for Canal Front Park. I mean, not Canal Front Park. Canal Front Park. Is that Rodney?
Well, you.
Now, Rodney.
Annandale,
And
George
Ed-
H.P. Smith, and
Right.
Canal Front.
We'll talk to them individually and try and meet on site, talk about what we're doing. And then when we come back, then we present everything again. And that's where we get the final approval to let the conduct. But if we want to do these, monuments, we have to pull the trigger early because she has to make them. This is the first thing to be made for Lewis.
Do we want to,
Getting closer to you.
do we also want to prioritize these three? I mean, suppose one doesn't pan out. Do we definitely want to do three, or is it just these three, or like, which one is the most important? I mean, yeah, we want to do it all, but maybe one doesn't work out. So then,
Well, I would suggest that we try to work on all three. I think all three are doable. If I come back, our next meeting, we're all screwed up in our meetings, but the next meeting, which will be December 1st, we would then, if I could only get two done, I would just go with the two that we got done and call it a year.
But I want to go back to talking to the Parks and Rec Commission. Because I know that the tree commissioner will be very interested in placement because of the concrete structures. And if they're too close to a tree and the drip line of the tree and the root system, and they're going to be in there for 6 months, it could cause a problem for the tree. So I think it might be better just to take it to the full commission and let the commissioners talk about, some of the issues so that the full.
But I'd rather not do that till I know that we
I
can
don't think
do
that's
this.
necessary.
And our park commissioner says,
All right, well,
Let's
then
not do
I'm
that.
asking that you talk to the tree commissioner as well, because that will be an issue of the placement.
I'd be glad to. I don't think we would want any of this stuff anywhere near a tree anyway.
Well, and those ones are small spaces.
Yeah. That's-
I mean, I think with the mosaics and everything, we brought it to the full thing, and we kind of said we don't really have, we can deal with individual.
Well, I think these are more substantial pieces than
Definitely.
the mosaics, so,
Definitely.
I think it should go to the Parks and Rec, so that they can all hear the information at the same time. They are a committee, a commission.
Well, I respectfully, I hear you.
And you will respectfully,
I hear you. I would feel like I don't know what to say to them because unless I meet with these people and we know where we want to put it, that's got to
Well,
come
I think what we
first.
should probably do is
I have-
kind of give a go ahead to propose this and not have the details ironed out. When we have the details ironed out, then we can, I mean, you don't want to,
that's
I wouldn't go and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? Then you're going to
No.
get all kinds of opinions. I like it. I don't.
Well, we actually, we would plan on awarding these contracts in 30 days. So we don't have,
From today?
so we don't operate in that time frame of, let's just have another meeting. And so if we need to meet these guys, we can call them up and it's for an individual park. The individual park commissioners are going to make those decisions on their own. And it's an individual decision for each park and they don't need to listen for a half hour while I'm talking to one park, which has nothing to do with what they're going to do in their park. So let me just meet with the parks commissioners individually, and we'll
I
bring that to the next
respectfully
meeting.
disagree, Cliff, but that's, we're not going to agree on that.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else?
Do we have to have a motion to go forward? with-
I would like a motion to go forward with collecting this, all this information to present for final approval on the 1st of December.
Be great grouping, and I motion to move forward.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? All right, we have it. We'll
So we
do
don't
it.
necessarily have to have a location, even if we decide to get the piece.
Yeah.
So if one location at a park doesn't work,
Find another.
it may not even be in a park. Maybe it's
Be
at the
cool.
bank, the
Well,
bank that's closed or whatever.
We have those 8 places marked on our map, so it can be in any of those places. I do feel that before the next meeting, we should meet with each parks commissioner in
Oh,
their
yeah.
park. And I know I have an enthusiastic backing of the George H.P. Smith park commissioners. I know that, anyway, if there's any objections, people will be, maybe we'll hear about it on Wednesday and maybe we'll hear about it.
I actually think the space behind the library would be better than the Zwandale. Personally, the Zwandale seems busy to me. So those monuments would be kind of cool, and there's a lot of space in there, not behind the library, but in front of the library.
You mean the old library?
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Path goes past there.
Yeah. Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you just draw me make me an X on where you think, and let me collect those?
I'll have to go look at it later.
Or you can call me and go over, and look at it together. I'm around, you know.
No, I'm not.
Ultimately, it makes it better to fit to go before the full commission because I think a lot of them are so intimately familiar with their parks that they might have.
Well, I think we just want to do that one at a time. That's all.
But I think your point about consulting with Marty Thompson is valid. She's a tree person, so.
Okay.
That's probably something.
That's pretty easy to do.
And that might be step 2, like figure out where we want it and then talk to her, so that way we're getting.
Well, we could just talk to Marty and say, if we're gonna put a sculpture and it's not gonna be within 20 feet of another tree, do you have any problem with that?
Mhm.
So then we got approval by,
Drip line.
Depends on the size of the tree.
She's not going to say yes to that. I can tell you that right
all
now.
right.
But that might be step 2.
Yeah, maybe with this all. But anyway, I'm assuming that even though there's all these reasons that this is not a great idea, and it's not perfect, but we're gonna pursue it until we make it better, right?
Yes.
And let me go back to our agenda. All right, new business.
It's not like they don't know we're doing this. Yeah, they expect. I expect more sculptures in town and
You know,
we.
Yeah.
You know, on that.
okay, moving on to new business, community arts project available. Amanda Brower.
I love her.
Now, the Amanda Bauer project was given to me by in New York, which was like right off the top. I thought this would be pretty wonderful. Karen, the woman, it takes a while to set all this up and make this happen. But you've got her website. Everybody saw him. Tony, did you get to the website, Tony?
I did not.
The project with her in Buffalo.
Oh, you did?
She repped a church for us on Richmond Avenue in Buffalo, and it was fabulous, really fabulous, and she's terrific.
Well, I'm suggesting, this is, we're now talking about 2023. And I am suggesting that try to partner with Art and Bloom. And because the way this project works, Tony, it's a lot like the Mosaic project, except for it's about materials and it's about the stories and materials, and it's a community sew together project. And it's very dramatic and it's very inclusive. So I'm suggesting that if you present this, or we could talk about it with our room, we don't have any
Does
kind of
everybody understand what you're talking
soldiers.
about?
Everybody read the,
Images that Janet had up before.
Yeah, these
No?
yeah, did you look at the website? I sent you a website.
It's like, they're basically.
The website, will tell you
That cover.
what she does is she goes into community. She puts out ads. She meets in different places of the community and collects materials. The materials have, they can't be stretch materials, there's certain things. But then she brings in sewing machines and gets the community to come back, and work together and sew together with a plan that she's designed based on the materials that she has and a target spot. In some of the places, they wrapped buildings. In this particular thing, they wrapped a wall and public building.
Wrap the wastewater treatment plant.
We could wrap the wastewater treatment plant.
that idea, actually.
We could wrap that. We could wrap City Hall.
Lauderdale?
We could wrap this, well, that's a state building, that's it there, but it's possible. I'm not saying that, we can certainly ask them. And I feel like the drama in this, can you show some more pictures? The way this works is people get together and they're telling the stories. Oh, this was material from my old dress. I was going to do this. And so there's a real nice community built while they're making this stuff. And these bolts of material are, make a pretty bright thing. We could cover the mural with this in 2023.
What do they do with it when it's?
It belongs to the artist when you're done.
Just takes it away.
But we have to pay her for her time. We have to pay, it's a big website, and I would hope that you would really look at it, Tony. And what do you think?
There are several quilters in and around Lewis who might well be interested in.
It's a
There's a whole quilt guild.
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of quilters.
It's a massive project, and what the Albright Knox did, because they sponsored it as an outside art public project, and they enlisted university students, high school students.
Yeah, we could do that.
I mean, it's big. They welcomed everybody who wanted to participate, and it was amazing. It was a really, really amazing thing to do.
There's a fashion and textiles teacher at Cape.
That would be great. That would be
But
great.
how
This
does the
is the way to
selection
get it.
process, does the artist,
That's
is she
that's the
involved in
upper- it's
selecting
a- Or is it abandoned
the-
church in,
what shows up, or-
very low,
Let's
low
ask,
income district is just amazing.
so the question was, do you pre-choose where you're going to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
She
So
did
she
that.
know-
I don't know if that changes depending,
Mhm.
but that was, she worked with Karen Ott at the Albright Knox to choose the location, and then they started producing the.
Roundabout, like how long it takes her and what would cost.
I had a very brief moment of clarity on that question, and then it got blown out because it depended on, well, this project, she did it in a month, and this project was a 6-month project, and she came back and visited. So I guess it's tailored to the experience, and she's not cheap, but she's not stupid expensive. I mean, it's something I think we could afford to get and help raise some money for. But it's not a project that we as a committee would do. So Tony, I mean, I don't know of any other committee that would be appropriate, or more appropriate than to have Art and Bloom take this on and let us be your support on that. So if you have some questions, on that website and everything, we can get Karen to talk to you, or Karen to talk to your group. And we're talking
I mean,
2023.
see, the Art and Bloom committee is smaller than this one, so.
Yeah, but you've got the, it may be smaller, but you got the people that, I'm starting with the Mosaic people. You had, 100 people work on that?
I think it was more than that.
I don't know exactly how many it was, but.
So I think you start with that core and you build out from there.
It's slightly different anyway. All I can do is bring it to the committee.
Good. All right, well, that's what that was about. Any other business? All right, so I guess we'll see you all Wednesday. Andrew, do you have a count on how many city councilmen are coming?
I don't.
Ed Tommy was coming.
Can you give me that count tomorrow?
Post it on the agenda.
You set the date. You set the date so the councilman could come.
No, I'm saying, is it up, but is it a publicly posted meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Are we sure?
I looked at it on the calendar. It's on the calendar.
Nothing's on the 3rd. Or schedule of meetings, it's not on there. At least the one I'm looking at. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it says it on our agenda, but
No, I thought it said it on the city calendar.
schedule a meeting.
I saw it somewhere. Oh, maybe it's just on the agenda. Well, anyway.
The community calendar
Oh, okay.
Where's that? On the website?
on the city's site. Yeah, it is on the community calendar. So yeah, I think at least, I know that, I think 3 have at least confirmed.
Great. We're gonna have 45 people here, and that would, it'd be really nice for the city council to see that the people are interested. That we're just not operating. It's hard to come into those meetings cold when you don't have any feel for the official feedback, which is what we're trying to get. So we're really hoping you can get everybody you can to come. Short of committing any crimes or crossing some protocol.
What's the progress on the bike racks? Where are we on that?
I have prices for one. I need to go and exactly see where it's meant, but I have a proposal from the cutters, and then it would depend on what kind of bike rack. So I need to do it with a picture, and then I can
How
send.
many bikes and all that stuff?
I got a proposal from the cutter up in Philly, and then I got a proposal from Nate to do 2 different auctions, so. I'll send an email out to everybody with just the finances. When we can talk about it here.
we're done with you on that.
Okay.
Well, I think it's Andrew, is that the bicycle committee? Yeah,
Yeah.
On an update.
good. I like to
Like to keep
see
that
that
circle.
happen. All right, does anybody have anything else?
Can we adjourn?
Okay, we're gonna meet the 1st of December, write that down,
Got it?
because I don't want to meet the night before Thanksgiving. And then all the other nights are kind of crazy, and then we will not meet in December. I mean, that would be, we'll skip them, hopefully, if we can get everything done, this is why I'm sort of pushing tonight, is get everything done so that we can, not have to meet Christmas week and,
Is the 1st of December meeting going to be here or?
it's gonna be here, right?
I have to move to the Rollins Center until the January meeting.
Okay.
I will verify that, though.
The Rollins Center actually is pretty good. It's got the TVs and all the cameras. It's pretty.
Yeah, but the TVs are all the way over there. It's not a very good layout.
It's pretty good.
This is cozier.
Yeah.
Familiar.
All right, anything else? Okay, the motion to adjourn? All right. Great. Thank you very much.